And out of their West Indian island comes a tale of terror and voodoo, of witchcraft and zombies.
And a farmer with the longest shotgun you've ever seen plays the villain.
This is Schlock Your Socks Off.
Alright, welcome to another episode of Schlock Your Socks Off. I'm Mike.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Bree.
And we're back with another episode. Can't get rid of us. And we got an extra special one for you today. I'm not gonna lie, me and Maya both went into this particular episode thinking it was gonna be a pile of hot garbage and we were gonna spend this whole podcast ripping on it.
Yeah, and we found it on Hulu, which is where we watched the Gingerdead Man movie. So we just were fully ready for another repeat.
Piece of garbage. And you know what? This has probably been one of my favorite movies that we've reviewed on this show so far.
It's definitely the funniest. I was laughing the entire movie, surprisingly.
For those of you who haven't guessed what we're talking about, this would be kind of hard to. We watched this week Bubba The Redneck Werewolf. Hee-hoo! Boy, I tell you what, it was a good old time.
Yeah, and it started off with like a great little soundtrack, a great little song to introduce the movie. I'm pretty sure the song title was Bubba The Redneck Werewolf. And it wasn't your typical werewolf movie, as he didn't get, bit by anything. He made a deal with the devil.
Yes, so the basic premise of this movie is Bubba is a wussy-ass, candy-ass, pussy-ass redneck who works at a hilariously named Barkham Asylum Dog Pound, and that's dog, D-A-W-G. And he's kind of the loser of the town. His girlfriend left him for an ugly, pushing 50 man who owns a nice car and has properly trimmed sleeveless shirts. I may add.
He has fucking scissors.
Yeah, proper fucking scissors, not those pinky shears or whatever he called them. But so, in order to change his life, our hero Bubba makes a deal with the devil to become strong, powerful, and able to deal with anything that comes his way. That translates into the devil turning him into a werewolf.
And Bubba's kind of like a nice protagonist. He's super easy to follow and has simple goals. He just wants that girl and he wants to enjoy himself or whatever.
And he's relatable. Job sucks, life sucks, not even the bartender likes him. I think we've all been there.
Yeah, and so after he... the first thing he did after he found out he was a werewolf was look in the mirror and do a couple impressions and play with himself. Realize he's got a big were dick, and the first thing he does is go let all the dogs out of the pound. He lets them all go free, which is actually super admirable.
Yes, I will say that is one of the areas where this movie kind of struggles. This is a really low-budget film. I mean, it's so low-budget, it doesn't have a Wikipedia page that I could find, and its IMDb page is almost non-existent. So we don't have any information about how much of a budget this movie had, whether or not it got a wide release or any sort of theatrical release.
We couldn't really tell if any of the actors were in anything else at all. Most of their picture or their
their links on IMDb are just the blank outline of somebody's shape.
Yeah, so we really know nothing about this movie other than the script is fucking dynamite.
Yeah, I was very surprised because this movie does look like, if you remember all the way back to our Gingerdead Man episode, it looks like it was either a student film or a movie that was shot on a porn set when they weren't shooting actual porn.
Yeah, but the main difference between this one and I'd say Gingerdead Man is the actors play it up better. I didn't have a problem with any character at all. This
is definitely a movie that comes across as everybody on that set was really trying to make the best movie they could with the budget they had.
And it looked so fun. I bet everyone had just a fucking blast working on it. And it's not a long movie. I would imagine it's like an hour, 15 minutes. I would imagine they wrote maybe an hour and a half movie and then just cut some stuff.
I would believe so, yeah.
The pacing works fine, and it's not like this big complicated story. And when he even becomes the werewolf, after he goes to the dog pound, he returns to the bar where he frequents ever so often. And when he gets there, everybody doesn't even notice
that
difference.
he's a werewolf. They're like, oh yeah, Bubba grew a beard, so what?
Yeah.
He's got a cleaner hat.
But after 700 chicken wings and killing 2 men in the bar, they still didn't realize he's a werewolf. So everybody in this movie is really playing up the stupid and are really, really, really over the top. And they have just this great collection of bar goers that I actually liked hearing from, like all these like side characters and stuff.
Like Cletus.
Like Cletus.
Or what's his cousin's name? The one who's picking his nose.
I don't remember.
He was funny. He was like,
Quit picking your brain.
no, quit picking your nose and pointing to your brain. is what the title said. No, but this guy is, for want of a better term, the town retard. He ain't got no brain at all, and he's just ever so unaware of what's going on around him. He's just dumb as a bag of bricks. He's the Patrick Star of this show.
And there's another guy who always wanted to talk about how he lost one of his testicles in the war.
No, he lost both of his testicles.
Even worse.
In Vietnam, mind you.
That poor man. But I every time they spoke, I felt like I wanted to hear what they were saying, and every time I would laugh and laugh and laugh. And the guy that played Human Bubba, we did learn this from Wikipedia and the credits, not the Wikipedia, the IMDb. The guy that played the Human Bubba is a different person than the guy that played Were Bubba.
Which makes sense, because the guy who plays Were Bubba is probably, I'd say, a good foot taller than the other guy.
He's
and
pretty big.
A pretty big dude.
I really liked the Were costume. I liked the way it looked. I thought it was like campy. It didn't look terribly realistic, and it didn't need to. It was just what's the term? I can't even think of the term, but I fucking loved it. I fucking absolutely loved that. But the blood in the movie, it kind of looked like a classic arcade style type.
It was all really poor CG. That is this movie's biggest problem, is anytime they had to rely on digital effects, they clearly didn't have the well, maybe they had the budget, maybe they just didn't have the talent in the post-production end to really make it look good.
Yeah.
Referring back to the scene you were talking about, letting all the dogs out, that is a prime example of Bubba's on a green screen, and then we've got this digital footage of these dogs escaping from the asylum, and it looks really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like, when I watched that scene, I almost felt like, I was like, oh no, I hope it isn't all downhill from here. Luckily it wasn't. But yeah, anytime they rely heavily on digital effects, the movie suffers.
Yeah, and the practical effects was what I was
own.
looking for. Yeah, exactly. And it works for the movie. It doesn't drag it down. And they don't rely too heavily on the kills anyway. This is a straight comedy. It's trying to make you laugh. I don't think it's going for that super gory, realistic type
No,
of
not
horror.
at all. This is definitely one of those horror comedies that leans more on the comedy than horror. Tucker and Dale vs. Evil would be kind of an example of the opposite of that, because that one, they execute all the deaths like a straight-up horror movie, and the humor is in the reaction to...
Yeah, and it's filmed like a horror movie, too.
Yeah.
So,
whereas this is just played by a comedy. There's very basic camera work. They don't really know how to film an action scene, like when him and the devil get in a fist fight. They're not. They could have made those look better, but it's not the focus of the movie, so you let it slide.
Yeah, exactly. What did you think of the movie, Bree?
I thought it was wonderfully stupid. And it was definitely more watchable than fucking Mortal Kombat.
But it did not have as good a soundtrack.
We did not
It had a
need to
great
get into that.
soundtrack, but not as good as Mortal Kombat.
No, that Bubba the Redneck Werewolf song is so much better than the techno song.
It's a great song, don't get me wrong. I love me some good bluegrass, but I mean, the Bubba the Redneck Werewolf song is not going to have me dancing every time it pops on.
I don't know. It might be having you bounce your knee.
Bouncing your knee's one thing, but I mean, we're not going to do our stupid techno dance that we've been doing for the past week thanks to Mortal Kombat.
It brings it out of
but
us.
the lyrics were so funny, though.
They were really funny.
They were. And I must say, like, the girl that he was in love with or whatever,
Bobby Joe?
Yeah, Bobby Joe. I actually liked her. Like, I liked that he liked her, even though she's totally not your ideal heroine, or how you'd put it, like the female lead or whatever, because she's not a good person. She cheated on him. She left him for this other dude.
Well, she didn't cheat on him. Bubba's just supposed to be too fucking dumb to realize that he got dumped.
Oh, that's right. They had a really funny thing when Bubba was human, where he went out to the car and he was told which car she was with that dude in.
So he's gonna go destroy the car and piss that dude off to get his girl back.
Yeah, and he gets out there and he starts like kicking it and punching it and not really actually affecting the car and like saying you deserved it or whatever, being a redneck. And it's revealed that he's punching the exact same model of the car that they're in right next to the car that they're in. So he was just fucking hitting some other car, and I thought that was just a really funny gag. It was so quick and at the very beginning of the movie, and right away with that, I could tell that the rest of this movie was going to be pretty funny.
Yeah, I agree. That was the moment where you're like, okay, whoever wrote this has a pretty good eye on comedy. The best way I could describe this film, I don't want to give too much away on this one because I really recommend people go see it. The best way I could describe the way this film's written is it's like somebody who grew up being a huge fan of David Zucker films,
Mel Brooks films.
Yeah, that quick wit, that they're really good dialogue written. The actors maybe didn't deliver a lot of these lines.
Yeah, and it's a little raunchy, a little raunchier than.
It's like a good mix between a David Zucker film and like the 10-year-old crude humor of Family Guy.
Yeah, totally. And it just, we as we said, we don't know that much about it, and we read that it was a comic first or a comic character in something, and at the very end of the movie during the credits they show like a little comic panel-esque like pictures of everything. I wonder if that was part of the comic or if they drew those for the movie.
No, if it was based on a comic, then that was probably a panel from the original comic. And I gotta tell you, Bubba looks way more intimidating in that comic panel than he does in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which, like, I want to read the comic now. I'd love to find that.
So it was an actual comic, though. It wasn't just, like, concept art or anything.
It was
the credits.
It said that the guy who produced it and played the devil in the movie, might I add, is the creator of Bubba, the Redneck Werewolf, and it's one of the characters he's created. And he's apparently been a writer for all these independent comics
Like
for
comic
years.
books, you mean? Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's just like a writer, and he hasn't done anything else like film wise except for something he's doing on YouTube right now, where he's playing the same character, the devil, in like a coffee talk type show, which is cool. I'll have to check it out.
I will say, the devil and the man who plays him are the highlight of this movie, in my opinion. He is just so funny with everything he has to say, and his way of tricking people into signing their souls away. Like, that's the whole plot. The devil's come to, the town is called Broken Taint in Cracker County. And he's come there to take everybody's souls and open up a new hell on Earth.
1,000 souls is, I think, what his goal was.
His goal. And just the way he does it is so fantastic. He picks most of them from the bar, and he just tries to give them everything they want. But there's this whole bit between him and Bubba that's kind of the turning point of the film, where Bubba first becomes a werewolf. Where in addition to him getting everything that he wants to make him strong and respected by the rest of the town, he will also get a 4-slice toaster, an ashless smoke tray, and a vegetable peeler.
The veggie peeler.
And
that bit of banter is between him and Bubba is probably the highlight of the film, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the devil's kind of played out like a genie-esque lawyer, where people aren't getting exactly what they want, and we don't want to give away too many other stuff, but I feel like we should mention one of them. It's like with the chef dude.
Oh yeah, the backroom meat market guy.
Yeah. This guy wants to. He's a frequent masturbator, and the devil convinces him that he needs a third arm, and the dude's like, "Hell yeah, I need a third arm!" Like basically, like to cradle his balls while he's doing it, or whatever.
Yeah, no, that bit of banter, I believe, goes. It's like, what do I need a third arm for? To tickle my balls while I jack off? Yeah, you do. All right, you got yourself a deal.
And so then the devil puts the third arm, on the dude's fucking
square on the forehead.
And I think that's so funny. And he was still really excited when he saw it and ran like immediately after he got it, like to go test it out. And soon realized immediately that it doesn't work.
You know what makes that scene so perfect in this film is they play it like the end twist of an episode of The Twilight Zone. Like The Last Man on Earth. That episode in particular, it's something's happened, you never really find out what. Nobody's left on Earth. This guy's the last guy, and this guy's a huge nerd, loves to read. He goes to the library, he finally makes it to the library by the end of the episode, and he's getting ready to read these books, breaks his fucking glasses. So now he's the last man on Earth, which is what he's wanted. He doesn't like people, and now he can't read. It's that kind of twist. He's like, I've got a third arm to tickle my balls while I masturbate, but no, it won't reach. Oh, God. And like you're expecting when he's saying, it doesn't reach, you expect to hear a voiceover from Rod Serling, like, a man obsessed with masturbation finally got a third hand to tickle his balls, but it won't reach. I guess that's what happens when you're a pervert. In the Twilight Zone.
I'd watch that.
And it's just so fucking funny.
It is really fucking funny. I actually couldn't recommend this movie anymore. I would recommend this movie to absolutely anyone. I don't know if... I think you could call this... It came out a couple years ago, but I'd say it's cult film worthy.
Oh, definitely.
It's got some rewatch value. And I feel like the more we watch this, the more we will love it. And as we said, like the CGI or their effects or whatever aren't the greatest, but this script is so good and so funny and so quirky. I think it's one of the funniest things I've seen in a little while. Like genuinely funny and original, which I 100,000% did not expect.
And again, we can't stress enough that we went into this movie expecting to hate it, because we picked this movie based off the title, Bubba the Redneck Werewolf. And we're just like, oh, that's going to be complete garbage. We have to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were going to be doing a much more negative review of this movie.
What a pleasant surprise. What a pleasant surprise.
Hidden gem on Hulu.
Did you have a favorite part, Brie?
Well, it's kind of girly.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's at the end. Like, what? Can I say it?
Yeah.
Well, he gets the girl, but naturally, because that's all werewolves do. And then at the end, like, they're kind of on a date under the moonlight, and she's like, Bubba, can you please do it again? Please, with the cherry on top. And then he, like, howls to the moon, and she howls to the moon, too. So I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah, that was kind of cute.
It was very cute.
And so, right before that happened, Bubba defeated the devil in a drink-off.
Oh yeah.
On a technicality, though, let's
yeah, but they could see that.
No, but it's a great. They play a game of quarters with probably, I would say, a handle of moonshine that they claim in the film is 200 proof. And for those non-drinkers out there who might listen to this, 200 proof means that's 100% alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Gross.
And it's a handle, which is the biggest jar there is, and they go through that whole thing. Once they go through that, they go to the devil's special blend of moonshine, which this is one of the jokes that kind of fell flat for me because it's too easy. Like, anytime there's the devil, there's this joke. He's like, it's 666 proof.
See,
I was like, really? You had to make that joke?
No, but see, I didn't have a problem with the joke. I had a problem with the science. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, 333% alcohol.
So it's 100%. It can't be more percent alcohol.
Well, I mean,
My
this is
brain.
hell. This is hell we're talking about. The rules of physics don't apply there.
I thought it was an easy joke, sure, but I thought it was still funny. Like, it was expected in this movie. They're going for joke, and
like a David Zucker film. It's like joke after joke after joke after joke. Don't give them time to stop laughing from the last joke.
Totally. Did we say a least favorite part of the movie yet?
No, we did not. Maya, what would your least favorite part of the movie be?
I think I'd have to think about that a little longer. Do you guys, either of you have...
I can confidently say that I would have to... The blind fortune teller. She kind of bookends the movie and shows up near the end. She's basically a plot device, and the scene that I know they were going for gross out, which they do. I'm not going to spoil that one. But yeah, her scene is the one that made me cringe because it was really gross and kind of unnerving. But yeah, I felt she was unnecessary. I think there could have been a better way for them to figure it out.
Oh, I agree completely, just because of how they did it, and I liked everything they did with his hand. I thought that was really cool. But I'm trying my best to think of a least favorite part, but everything was pretty consistent for me. Like even the fortune teller, I enjoyed her, and I like that gross stuff, so it worked for me. And she's all blind, so she's knocking shit over. I thought it was silly, but everything was so level for me. I don't think I have a problem with this movie. I think it's a 2 thumbs up, 5-star, go check this shit out type movie for me.
I would agree. I would urge anybody who listens to this podcast, please go watch the movie and then leave a comment on this podcast. Let us know if you liked it, if you didn't like it. Love to debate you on why this is a fun watch, even if it is schlocky as hell.
It's its own thing.
For some of you who may be hesitant on it, the best way I could describe it is this is the opposite coin of a movie like Stan Helsing. And so Stan Helsing is a scary movie clone done by the producers who worked with the Wayans brothers on the first 2 and then continued the scary movie franchise on and also did Meet the Spartans, superhero movie, disaster movie, date movie. You know, these people were trained in the David Zucker school of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And they've never been able to do it as good as David Zucker or the Wayans brothers even. But Stan Helsing, me and Maya both watched that movie. We never finished it because that's how bad it is. And Stan Helsing, I can guarantee you, had at least 3 times the budget that Bubba the Werewolf did, the Redneck Werewolf did, and Bubba the Redneck Werewolf 10 times better than Stan Helsing.
Yeah, and this one doesn't even have Kenan Thompson in it.
Which, Kenan Thompson, I wish he hadn't have done that movie because I really like him, but I hate that fucking movie.
Yeah, maybe we should, with how good this movie was, or how much I like this movie, maybe we should give Stan Helsing another chance.
I don't know. That one, I've tried twice and never been able to finish it.
Well, let's give it 3rd time's a charm. What about you, Brianna? Did you have a least favorite part of the film?
Just the fortune teller.
Oh, so...
Wow, me and Bree actually agree about something.
Was it because of what she was... because of her, like, vomiting or spitting up on his hand? Is that what did it for both of you?
No, that was funny. I just thought she was just a little
I felt
bit
she just
annoying.
dragged down the pace of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could agree with that, but... If they, like... I wonder if they did actually cut a bunch of stuff, and if they were trying to decide what they could keep, or if they did reshoots, or if they just filmed this and put everything that they already had into this movie. Because maybe they could have cut it and figured out something else, but also maybe they didn't have anything else, and they just filmed everything they had and gave us this wonderful comedy.
One of the things I'm really curious about, and this is probably one of the last things we talk about today, but I can't honestly tell if this movie was made by people who know nothing about people from the South and are just going off of every stereotype they've ever heard about Southerners, or if this maybe was made by a bunch of people who live down in the South who are like, hey, let's embrace these stereotypes and make a really fucking funny comedy out of it.
I think maybe a little bit of both, because all these actors are unknown. It seemed like a passion project for whoever was involved. It seemed like everyone was there specifically not to make fun of, but to enjoy and just make everybody laugh. And I would assume that there was some actual rednecks in the cast, as I would also assume some of them definitely not.
Those Southern accents did sound...
authentic?
Well, maybe not authentic. They sounded very stereotypical, but they sounded like maybe somebody who grew up in a Kentucky or a Georgia, somewhere like that. Like, oh yeah, I can do that accent in my sleep because, you know, that's how we make fun of the people around here we don't like. By making them sound like a bunch of dumb hicks.
Yeah. But I think we covered everything without, like, spoiling too much.
Yeah, because I really don't want to spoil a lot of this movie because you just have to see it for yourself. It's fantastic.
Give it a watch. Watch it now. We're watching you.
We're not being paid by Hulu to advertise this movie. We really enjoy it. That That was my best robot voice.
7 out of 10.
I'd give it an 8 out of 10. But I think that's going to do it for us. Thanks for listening, and join us next week for big episode number 10. Double digits, y'all.
10.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.